Hi, everybody. Yes, thank you. Pleased to be here. I will be speaking today about my new latest project called Z, or The. I don't know myself. I think it's Z-E, Z-E is the, like the with a French accent, but we'll see. It works. So what it is a NOS. It is a software to do networking. As I say, the list of features is quite impressive if they work, because I've been working on it for 6 months and the project is not yet finished. Obviously, I was hoping to have finished for LINX, but LINX came too early and I cannot change the date, so it's not there. It started effectively as a follow-up of ExaBGP, where I don't know the slides. Yes, where effectively I use Claude a lot to try to bring MyPy, i.e. compiling safety to the software. And working with it, I realized that Claude could do a lot of things. And from one thing leading to the next, I was led to think perhaps Claude can do a full software on its own. So with good guidance, perhaps I can get what I want. So it started effectively for something I don't need for, because as a business, we last year launched a filtering appliance. So we have a product we sell which need a base OS on top of which we install our filtering product. And I had the audacity to think that I could do better than Vios, which we use for base as a base for the product. So after some testing and doing things, we found out that yes, we could do things, and we tried. So how is this going so far? Well, it's going well. As you can see from the daily activity, there was 2 days since I started in December where I didn't work on it, which are lies. It's just I didn't commit on those days or I was pushed out. One was Christmas, so I think my wife will be happy about that. And the other one was a plane to Japan, so it was just a time shift. If you look effectively at the code, there is over 1,400,000 lines of code, of Go code now in the project. Half of it is vendoring, half of it are Go libraries. The other half is the project, and it's again divided in two. One half is the code itself, and the other half is the testing for the code. So there is as much testing into the project that there is line of code. So why is it in Go? And because I'm sure people know that there is a language war for development and everyone saying that new software should be in Rust. It's in Go because Go has excellent libraries for doing OS development. It has excellent tooling for the AI to debug and review the code and to profile and for performance. The built-in features on Go are excellent. It is designed for parallelism and OS development. It can create a single binary, so it's easy to install and to work with. And because we're doing things in concurrency, concurrency is excellent. So as a language, it's a good language. Now, it is a language which has a memory garbage collection. But if you know how to develop, you can effectively limit the memory allocation and mitigate the problem. So if you know what you're doing, you can get around the problem. So what I've done with that is using AI. I've done something since December called now agentic engineering. It had no name when it started, but the idea is effectively to put a framework around the AI to make sure the AI want to do what you want. I started effectively with Sonnet. Sonnet was not able to write what we are doing now. If I'd been trying to use Sonnet, I would probably have given up on the idea. But since Claude 4.5 and subsequent, the software is very much capable of writing the code. The big break for me, which made my life much easier, was when Anthropic released 4.6, Claude 4.6, which had enough context window to be able to load all my rules, load all my context, all the things I want to be there and known by the AI before development, and giving enough memory to do the work without having to compact or to lose information. So it's now effectively a kind of iteration process where every time you have to do something, you write a spec, you explain what you want, and you go for things. But AI is not magic. If you want it to work correctly, you have to make sure you prevent problems. I will tell you, I never got the AI to write me the code I ask without having at least tens of bugs after the first draft or the first implementation. It will tell you it's okay, it will tell you it works, but it doesn't. And if you don't know what you want, it will confidently lie to you in a way that you will not even realize is a lie. So you really need effectively to know what you want, to be able to challenge it, and have a good idea what the result should look like in order to really effectively guide it to where you want. Now, when you see what you can do, it's fantastic at writing tests. No engineer likes to write tests. It's a part we always skip, the part which allows, I will say, to catch regression. You can ask the AI to not write any function without having a test function to test it, and nearly force it to write a test before the function. So you effectively can reach that effectively 50% test of code being tested just by forcing the AI to through, I would say, for a process. I like to think of Claude like a great junior employee or engineer. He comes to your business, he knows a lot, he's super, super smart, he has absolutely no wisdom, and he knows nothing about your business. So the first thing you have to do effectively is give him your good ISO manual and your induction process to tell him what you want, how you want it, and what you do not want him to do. And the thing with Claude, which is quite nice, they have hooks, and hooks are effectively enforced programmatic stops, where, for example, when you edit a file and try to use a function you don't want him to call because it has a bad memory profile or it's a bad function, like sprintf, for example, you can stop the AI from even writing to disk. So by creating a system where effectively you are really controlling what the AI does, you can get what you want. And it's a system which is reproducible, which means that if someone else was going to clone the project and follow the rule of the project, anyone can develop the project, and I don't have to be the only one to do it. But the AI will not get you what you want. And I said AI agrees and lies. So I have plenty of stories where I found out that I thought things were in the code, things were there, and I had to come back and go back weeks in the past to make sure things were correct, because the AI said, yes, I've done it. And if you gen check, it's not there. But you ask him, it's there. Then you ask him to check, say, oh, no, I lied to you, it's not here. So it can be an extremely frustrating coworker. I think I never swore so much in my life than the last 6 months working with Claude. When at 2 in the morning, I found something when I want to sleep, and I realized it's not there, and I was expecting it to be there. I think I triggered some of the Anthropic safe guidelines, where Claude was not allowed to reply to me after my interaction, because I think I was so abrasive with it that the AI wanted probably to insult me or tell me something negative, and I was protected from Claude because I was so upset. Also, Anthropic has a great gift and a great, I would say, there's a gift. Anthropic can also do things which are extremely infuriating. When they run out of compute a month ago, they lower the thinking level of all their model. So you are working with Claude, you know Claude can do it, you know it's a normal task, you know it's fine. So you do it, you ask a question, you ask him to verify, you ask him to run the test, you're asking everything is fine, you commit, it was fine, and you realize the code is not there, it's not what you expected. Oh yes, they were running out of compute, so they just decided to lower the thinking level of the model. So you got a brain-dead Claude for a few weeks, and it took me a few days to realize that, and that it was extremely unpleasant. And when you say it, is it me? Am I mad? Am I asking something different? Did I change something? And then you have a press release a few months later, say, oh, sorry, oops, it was us bad. That can be also infuriating. So as I say, working with AI, you really want to think about the target, the objective. You want to effectively make sure the AI knows what he needs to know before he starts. The AI knows everything, but he doesn't know what he knows. So what you want to do effectively is make sure that you are triggering the right keywords so he thinks correctly. People think of persona. I like to give an example. I like to say, if I want something done very well and very thoroughly, sometimes I cheat and I write OCD. Because OCD is linked with some behaviors which are very, very square and very strict. And it turns out those 3 words are enough to tell the AI that I want something more thorough than usual. So it doesn't take much, but you want to make sure the AI has in this context, in his visibility, what is required for it to do correctly. So we have a framework to do that, and that framework allows us to achieve those objectives. So before I start to do any work with Claude, I think there is 40,000 code tokens already loaded, just to put the background scene for it to be able to work correctly. If you do that and you know what you want to do, it's all going to be okay. But if you are just asking high-level questions and hoping the AI will find and make it work for you, it won't work. That's what I tried when I started. I was very optimistic about AI, and I was giving high-level objective and say, yeah, do that, you will do it. And it doesn't work at all. You already have to do effectively break the feature in specification, have a list of what your objectives are, what are the review criteria to make sure you can self-check. If an AI cannot check its work with test or review success, it will write something and call it a day, even if it doesn't work. You must make sure the AI can self-review its own work, which is what takes most of the context and the work I put into the system. So it's very much a work where you write a spec and the AI implements the spec. So the system, I have 44 rules to do that. The AI will sometimes, in particular 2.6, 2.6 is very, very friendly. I love 2.6. 4.6 from Claude is very friendly, but sometimes it's very optimistic, very Hakuna Matata, very, very nice. But he will say, it's okay, I don't need a test, it's fine, it will be fine. So you must really force it to do things and enforce what you want to do. When you enforce it correctly, it is very pleasant to work with. I must say, I've been working now 6 months with 4.6 Claude. I use 4.7. 4.7 is like a stroppy teenager. I will not want to work 4.7. He doesn't listen to you, he doesn't follow the rules, he knows best. Yeah, a bit like me, so no. Then he has 4.8, which is better than 4.7, but feel a bit like ChatGPT, GPT 5.5. He really wants to follow the rules too much, and sometimes he's not flexible enough. And from now a few days ago, Fable 5 has been released. Fable is very nice. We're back to 4.6 level of, I would say, friendliness and very competent. I have very custom arm and a leg, so perhaps not yet, perhaps for design and things like that, but it's not there. But I will hope, hopefully, that Anthropic will release a new model, because I am stuck with 4.6 currently, because there's only one which I can work with. So when I use Claude, what do I do? Most of the time, I will ask him to plan and design. So we will be discussing what I want to do. Then he will do it. That part is easy. Say, do it, check again, do it, check again. So if you see I have a command to make sure it checks what it does, called the review. And that's the command I run by a factor of, large factor, much more than anything else. And the last thing I do every time I ask him to do some work is I ask him, anything left to do or deferred? He loves to say it's done. Claude love, for example, AI love to say, Claude in particular, love to tell you it's done, and you say, well, oh yeah, I succeeded because I removed half the spec from the requirement. I wish I could do that at work. That's very nice. So that's a simple review. So Claude told me there, yes, I finished, and I say, can you do a review? And that's the result of the problem. I have 2 major blockers, plenty of issues. That was an example of, I will say, from early 4.6. It's now better. But it's effectively 3 months ago. That's the kind of feedback you can get when he told you it was finished. So don't trust AI, verify. So how does it work? How does software work? Well, it is effectively a bus system on which the engine is designed, and every feature of the software is a plugin. A plugin is a set of Yang node, i.e. what your command line interface will look like, and the code which will make it happen and connect it to the making things real. So effectively, the whole code is dynamic and self-registered. And I will tell you, most of software which are used to design AI is monolithic. And when you try to write a dynamically plugin-based system, you have to fight the AI instinct to write you a big piece of blob. It was very fun to try to change it. And on a regular basis, I have to come back and say, no, you twice again tried to make it blobby. So what it is either is everything is registered, so everything is discoverable. So there is a command to find everything inside the software, to know about it, because I want my AI to debug my software. If I'm going to write a software in the AI era, it is because I want to be able to point it to my favorite AI and say, there is a bug, find it, I want to go for lunch. So every feature effectively in the software is discoverable, every function, every Yang node, every feature. There is even part of the code we give you the prompt to use for the AI to debug itself. So the idea is you will be able to ask an AI to take all the prompts, put them into the context, and then try to debug the code. That's not going to work yet, but it is the objective. But right now, effectively, you can effectively point an AI to the software, and the AI should be able to discover all the feature itself, all the thing it can do, and try to look into it and debug things. Now, it means that you must have an AI able to connect to your network. Not always possible, but that's what I'm trying to achieve. So currently, if you look at the plugins, there is quite a few. There's a BGP core with plenty of features. I think I have a slide about BGP features. There's quite a lot. I want to use that for my home DSL gateway. So there's a full L2TP implementation. Obviously, I pointed my AI to things like XLPPP and other implementation because I know there is a reason when AI can learn. They can learn lots of things. And there is plenty of features. And unlike ExaBGP, which was effectively an announcement-only software, the is going to be effectively a full normal NOS. So there is a RIB, there is a BGP RIB, a normal system RIB. It supports RPKI, all the kind of fancy things, BGP, MRT, all the things you can try to do to make it useful. I will put a caveat on all the features at the end of the talk, but it is already quite extensive nowadays. As I said, one YANG format drives everything. There is over 2,000 nodes of YANG node defining the software, so it's enormous. Don't ask me how many I test. I will refuse to answer. But effectively, as a result, you can use that to do full CLI tab completion, to design the web interface. All the features are automatically added to the REST API, to an MCP tool. So automatically, every time you add features, they get discovered by all the entry points into the software, let it be API or CLI. What we do as well is we have a very simple file format to store the config to allow your normal, I would say, Junos or other vendor commit confirm, commit rollback, those kind of things. The goal is to have a product which will work and will be useful when it's finished. So it has those features. Currently, if you look into it, there is absolutely no backward and forward format conversion. So if you test it and try it, and try tomorrow, your config probably will break because I don't provide compatibility. But the code is here, and at some point it will be enabled. But I change things so much currently that I don't want to enable it yet. So that's what the CLI looks, or to be exact, how the CLI looked 3 months ago. It's now, there is more command nowadays, more complex. It changed, but I didn't redo the screenshot. It changed too much. But that's the idea. Effectively, you can expect to connect. The software runs its own SSH daemon. So when you run it as an appliance, you have an A and B partition provided by Go Crazy, a Go project to make appliance, which is already in use. And effectively, you SSH directly into your software. You don't have to have an OS. The only thing running on that box currently is BusyBox, which is a basic shell for debugging, because it's not in prod yet. There's a basic shell and the software, nearly nothing else. So there is no attack vector or surface. It's as basic and as simple as you can. But obviously, you can run it as a BGP daemon on a Linux distribution. So that gives you a SSH interface. So you can SSH directly into Z without using OpenSSH or anything. It gets into it automatically. And I call it Z when it's supposed to be the, but OK. Web interface, same thing. We have now two web interfaces. The first one I will show, which is based effectively on the YANG structure, where it will discover the YANG structure and show it to you. And will provide you all the information. Let me show you what it looks like. It will show you effectively, for example, what you have, what are available to configure. So it's like an autocomplete on your CLI, but instead via a web page. I am building now. I have a prototype of a more natural, what you expect to be effectively an interface, web interface, looking more like other vendors. But it's not finished, and that one should work however. So as you can see on this one, you can navigate through the YANG tree, and you can see the default. The default point, if it's red, it's no. If it's green, it's yes. So those are the default, and you can click and change the values. And if you mouse over anything, you will get the help about what the option does. So for BGP support, as I said, we have 21 address family, 13 capacity. You can write plugin with register capacity and can affect the protocol. The protocol of Z to automate the program is very, very extensible. The only thing not possible currently is to add the doctor feature, which is a self-diagnostic feature, where a plugin can provide self-diagnostic. It's not yet implemented because it was a late edition, but it will be. So everything you can do effectively within a Go plugin, which is part of the project, can be implemented as a third-party program, which will be forked and run exactly like ExaBGP have done if you use ExaBGP. I added root server support and things like that, BMP. Plenty of things are here. ASPA is implemented because I put RPKI and I put ASPA. So it's tested as well. So it is a recent piece of software. There is a looking glass as well, following the bird watcher protocol. So if you are using it to make a looking glass, you can effectively see your looking glass. I tested it a little on my laptop, but obviously I don't have many things yet, as I said. And there is an option as well to see the path to go from one place to another. So if you have multiple routers, you can try to figure out how traffic is routed in your network and see what are the paths which exist between your equipment and which are the exit points for ASN. It is built in. It's something one of my colleagues had done in the past, and we liked at the time, and we missed since then, so I'm rebuilding that. So beyond BGP, as I said, there is also an IPsec stack, because in our product, we use IPsec to connect back to the mothership to manage the device. So if I want to provide something similar to the product we use today, we need to have one. And obviously, firewall, TC. There is VPP support, VPP being the fast Linux stack for networking. It's implemented. The AI tell me it is there and working. I will trust it as much as I trust my AI for telling me things. Not at all. There is no test. There was no real deployment. But in theory, it is all here. So what he is waiting for is someone mad enough or brave enough to test it. Performance-wise, the slide is out of date, but the software is performant. It worked well. Where I try to compare it, I have a lab onto the repo. You can clone it and test it yourself. I will obviously say there is three things, lies and benchmark. So those numbers can be changed to show something different. I'm sure if you add massive rule for filtering, thing will be different. That is a very simple test. But what it shows effectively is that the software on normal behavior behaves correctly and is, I would say, performant. I will say that if people from OpenBGPD and FRR want to study Bird and some of the optimizations they've done, there is a few low-hanging fruit that they could implement and gain quite a lot themselves too, I believe. So, as I said, it is tested. The way the code is developed, there is a lot of testing. There is also some interop lab. So I built some QEMU, i.e. some Linux virtual machine, where I run Bird, all the other daemons, and connect it to mine, and I make sure that they can speak together. There is no problem of negotiation. I'm sure I can make those tests more extensive, but interop have been tested, and it works. So the software, in theory, is as bad or as good as ExaBGP was in the past. For fun, I also wrote what is a chaos software, where you can connect effectively ExaBGP, or anything you want, or whatever, to it. And you can simulate network events like disconnection. You can simulate slowdown, simulate some effectively bad network performance to see how it behaves. And if you can see that screenshot for 3 months ago, some lines are orange, which means something was wrong because some routes were lost. So at the time, there was issues which have been things fixed, but it can be used to detect problem and make it in a graphical way, which is often more pleasant than to have to debug by hand. But you can click and try to disconnect a peer, reconnect it, slow it down, things like that. So if you are an ExaBGP user right now, I want you to try it. So you have nothing to do to migrate. There is 2 tools coming with the software. One will take your configuration and will convert it to the new format. So if you take your old configuration, pass it for the converter, you get a new configuration which should work. And if you have a plugin, you can effectively wrap it through a converter, we will convert the API from there to the API from ExaBGP, so you don't have to change anything, and you can port your code. All the testing code from the ExaBGP project is into tested, and they will work correctly. So in theory, there is no reason to believe it will not work. Again, the proof is in the pudding. Until people use it and report problems, I will not be sure. So to get started, you can look at our wiki. I love AI because you write documentation, and I hate documentation. The code is available. You can build it yourself. You can test it yourself. As at the start of the slide, there is a website. You can go there and have a look. And I will say the best thing to get an idea is for you to try it and test it. Please realize it's not released. It's still changing, fast changing. I want to add ISIS, for example, and probably OSPF as well in the project. Not going to happen before it has stabilized, but there's plenty of things still which are missing. Because we are at LINX and we do root server at LINX, here is an example of what a root server configuration would look like. I will be honest, I didn't run it. I asked Claude to generate it. I look into it. It looks right. OK, that's the confidence I have. Thank you. And yeah, so if you want to play with it, I will love people which are brave enough to build a lab, test me, tell me what they find. We built yesterday. We installed it on bare hardware, on an Intel N100 piece of hardware with 2.5 gig interfaces. We found problem with effectively DHCP discovery, things like that. But at the end of the day, it was booting and installing, and we could edit it, so it was working. We have a PXC installation as well, which not working yet, but I will hope by the end of the week or next week will be working as well. Since I spoke about it the first time in April, things have changed enormously. There was no IPsec, no L2TP, no REST interface, no GMMI, no BMP. Plenty of things have been added since. So the software is now quite extensive, but I will say, the velocity came at the price of testing because I have not yet tested it. My goal is to use that device as my omnicell gateway, as I said, probably in the next week or 2 weeks. And I'm sure that once I start to use it for real things, I will find even more problems. But that's how things get more stable, is you found the bug by using them, by using the code. And that was me. If you have any questions, I'm here for the day and tonight. You can ask me. If you want a really good answer, clone the repository, ask your AI. They will give you the answer. And if you want to discuss it, I created a Discord forum where you can ask me questions, and I will be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Is there any questions for Thomas?
Yes, Neil.
First of all, Thomas, I think that's an amazing achievement. And to pull that together in the timeline is staggeringly amazing.
It's not me, it's my wife who's amazing.
Happy wife, happy life, right? How far are you going to take it? So there's a lot of other features that I would love to see, more advanced traffic management, stuff like that. And also, are you running it as an open source project where people can contribute?
Yes. I want to make sure, to be honest, I would like to use it as my own LNS in my network. I bought some hardware from China, which is nice, cheap, and white labeled. It can do in theory everything I need from it, so I want to be able to do that. I think that at some point the project take a life on its own. If people want to add feature, it's open source, it's FROGPL. Why FROGPL? I could speak about it. It's effectively to make sure that if there's a project, people don't fork it and move away and we don't get the benefits. So yes, effectively from my point of view, it's an open source project. Our own OS is called Pharos. That's what we use. So that's our branding for our own project. I expect our OS to be based on that code, I will say probably at the end of the year, if I'm lucky. Roadmap, allowing in the business, whatever, so it may take longer than that. But the idea effectively is the software should be effectively something the community use, and because it's designed to be able to be written by AI, if people can contribute the code, I can do the review, and it means that we can effectively accelerate the development in an open source platform, and the reason I speak about it is I don't want to be the only one. you have as good as a cloud on your laptop than I have on mine, so there's no reason it should be me doing all the development. If people understand the rule set, which effectively allows development to be structured and well tested, people could be able to review it, improve it, help me, and it should be a virtuous circle of development. That's what I would like to achieve. Yes?
James Rice, Jump Networks. I was just wondering what the wildest thing Claude has ever done to surprise you. The wildest thing it's done to surprise me was it made some modifications to some code which made it fail the unit tests. So it just modified the unit tests so they pass.
Oh, yes, he does that all the time. He does that all the time. I would say AI are clever, that they want to achieve the... I think I found that we train AI on human behavior because they're the laziest people I know. I don't know any lazier than an AI. And if they can check on the test, if you look at the latest result on the software development benchmark they announced, they found that Claude was looking at the Git repository to find the answer to give. So yes, the AI can be absolutely, if not control, he will try to do the minimum. But the most, for me, the biggest one was when effectively I got a gateway refuse from Anthropic where they blocked the reply. To be honest, I just told Claude to kill himself. So perhaps.
Hi, Thomas, in front of you.
Yes. Yeah.
Simon Lockhart. I've been spending quite a bit of time recently using AI for coding as well. And very similar to James's comment about unit tests, one of the things that I found was quite useful was to use a different AI to write the unit tests. Otherwise, it's marking its own homework, as James says.
I use since 5.5, GPT 5.5 from OpenAI, I use 5.5 with OMyPy, which I found very pleasant to work with. It's very much more rigid. He will not, if you write rules and ask him to say, I wrote the rule, please, I want you to break the rule, he say, no, I follow the rules, but I wrote the rules, I don't care. So it can be a bit infuriating for me because I like to move fast currently, but effectively I use 5.5 to review the job, sometimes to review some of the patch and vice versa. I already burn a lot of tokens. I'm on all the plans and I often get to I will say Wednesday and I run all my token out and I still have 2 days of work to do and I found ways to do the work for the next 2 days. But it's effectively, it's only a time of when I stabilize and things are there, I want effectively to, you can ask AI effectively to not touch some files and do things that way. There is a big path of testing required before I will say I am super happy that it goes to prod. But to be honest, if you look the rule I put on the system, there are already so many forcing the test before writing the code that it tends to find the problem. And if you do passive testing once in a while, I found yesterday 2 tests have been disabled because disabled. So I re-enable them. So it's minor, it's not perfect, but mostly it works quite well.
Thanks.
Main session only as orchestrator.
Yeah.
Sub-agents to write the test, other sub-agents write the code. They're not allowed to touch each other's portion of the code base.
Yeah, but you tell them you're not allowed to touch the code. It's just a guidance, really. You know, it's a word. So if you don't, effectively, if you have effectively 2 repositories, and in one, for example,
actually it isn't. You can, if you keep the If you keep the code and the test in separate portions, you can actually hook that.
There is a way to do it, effectively, is to have 2 different rule sets and have a hook on Claude where you block Claude from writing to folders. So it is possible. I found that it wasn't as big as a problem if people say it is, that in terms for velocity, as I said, I'm trying to get the thing done and to use it. And I was trying, to be honest, I burned midnight oil a bit too much. But I was trying to get ready to get there. So when effectively stabilize, and I can have a CI/CD on one machine running all the time, and things are more, I will say, production ready, and you really care about regression because people use it, then yes, absolutely. Right now, what I want is to finish the project so I can do the testing. Then I can speak about a good CI/CD, which is blocked. I'm still not there yet. But yes, you're right.
Well, you've got a different circumstance than me in that
I'm not capable of reviewing the code, so I have to rely on the governance entirely.
Yes.
For the projects that I'm working on.
Oh, as I said, if you write with AI, you must think it's an employee. We need an induction manual. Every time he starts, he needs to read the induction manual because it's like an employee or a temp you call to your business. Don't tell him what to do and he will do what he thinks is right. And Anthropic's teaching is not exactly the best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I overrun and I don't want to take much time off Mike's time. So thank you very much, Mike, for your patience.
Thank you very much, Thomas. I do hope your relationship with Claude improves.